All right, guys, well, I'm back today with another high-value first focal plane scope option for a bolt-action flat-top AR or similar platform. This is a brand new offering from CVLIFE in both the 4 to 16 first focal plane or the 3 to 18 first focal plane. They both feature an MOA illuminated reticle system, zero stop, and a ton of other cool features that are generally found in much higher price scopes. Now, the MSRP of these guys is right at about $240 to $250, depending on the configuration you select on the Amazon link in the description below. But of course, it's not a 704 tactical video without coupons and discounts, and that's what I've talked to CVLIFE about. They actually sent this out to the channel at my request to try, and on top of that, they created some discounts. When you head over to the link in the description below, you'll be able to click a discounted coupon on the actual Amazon listing right below the price. This will apply once it's added to your cart. From there, you can actually input another discount code that can be found in the description of this video to save even more money, dropping the total price to about $180 to $190 depending on the configuration you select, which is an insane deal when you consider the specs and features and performance of this optic. But let's talk about it because there are positives and negatives, just like there are to anything, especially at the price point right around 190 bucks. So let's start off with the tube diameter and fit and finish and what comes in the box. This is a traditional 30 millimeter tube. So it's going to have pretty darn good light transmission and very good compatibility with rings and mounts, so you're not going to have any issues there. The fit and finish out of the box was absolutely spectacular and really felt good and looked good. A lot of times you'll be able to pull a scope out of a box and tell almost immediately, I don't know what they're doing here, but you don't get that feel. You get the feel of a premium optic. You do get scope rings in the box. I selected to go with something different because it felt a little bit cleaner on top of this bolt-action Ruger American. You get the flip-up lens covers as well as the detachable zoom lever, which is pretty nice. Again, all for about 180 bucks. Now, both the 4 to 16 and 3 to 18 all have about the same features other than the zoom capabilities, and I would honestly recommend the 3 to 18 over the 4 to 16, even though I am reviewing the 4 to 16. Both of the codes are going to be active on both options, so you can save money either way. Now, the other cool thing about this is the turrets on this optic when it comes to fit and finish. Listen here. These have some very nice audible and tactile turrets. And the other cool thing is they have a zero stop. Now I'm going to bring this back up to about where it was because I've got everything sighted in, and you can actually reset the zero. Now, having a zero stop on an optic is great because the cool thing about that is you can thread this all the way up, dialing something in, you set it, and then you forget it, and then you're like, oh man, how many do I have to knock it back down? How many revolutions was I at? With the zero stop, you simply slam it all the way back until you hit the zero, and then you can adjust from there. And that's very easy to set. You actually remove 3 screws right here. You pop this off. There's another internal ring which you'll loosen up. You'll get everything sighted in. Then you'll put it all back together and tighten everything up, and now you have that zero stop set in place. So that's a nice touch on this CVLIFE that's generally found in $300, $400, and $500 optics and on up there. It's just a nice feature that's added. The left and right turret is actually a locking turret, so you'll pull it out and you'll have very audible and tactile clicks, and the illumination knob works pretty good, although it's a little bit stiff. I would like to see a little bit of improvement with that, but not that big of a deal. It also has an on and off position in between each illumination setting, which is very nice, and a side parallax adjustment. Again, the side parallax adjustment is a little bit stiff, but I don't mind that because you kind of get it down in, and then it's not going to shift around and slide around on you when you're shooting targets down at the range. So overall, when looking at the main housing, the turrets themselves, and that illumination, those are pretty nice, especially for the money, and everything works out great. Now, the illumination is not daytime bright, and I don't expect it to be on a scope like this. Even something at $1,000, a lot of times, it's not just daytime bright. These are twilight and dusk bright for different hunting applications and low light situations, and it works fine. There's no issues whatsoever with that illumination. Now, moving back to the zoom knob itself, you can actually unthread that little stud right there, thread it back in, has some nice texturing, works out great. No complaints here. It does have the adjustable diopter under this flip-up lens cover, and everything about the fit and finish and quality is pretty darn awesome. Now let's talk about glass clarity, eye box, and eye relief. And the glass clarity is very nice on this optic. When you're looking down the optic, it truly looks like you're looking down a $300 to $400 scope. You're getting really good glass, really good light transmission, and a really good eye box and eye relief, meaning how far left, right, up and down you can be from this optic. Now there's definitely going to be some differences when it comes to this optic and say $1,000 optic, but for all intents and purposes, this does the job. It does the job great. I threw this on top of this 6.5 Creedmoor Ruger American in this KRG chassis system, and it's been killing it. I was going to swap this out. I was going to actually finish building this out with like $1,000 optic, you know, and just trick it out. But I was like, hey, I got the optic. I got the rifle. Let's throw them together and see what this thing is made of. And it's been performing great. Now, I only got to shoot this out to about 200 yards, but I did get to look through the scope out to 1,000 yards, and you can still make out a ton of stuff. It's definitely going to be capable of taking your rifle to those extended distances. Now, the reticle itself may be a little bit hard to see in the intro, but you can head over to the Amazon listing and get a little bit more details about it. Now, the reticle itself has some duplex leader lines, then has a Christmas tree style reticle system with windage and elevation lines and dots for holdovers. So it's a very nice reticle system. Now, is it my favorite that I've ever seen? I mean, there can be some slight improvements. This one has a very fine center crosshair. I would almost like to see a chevron, and the leader lines could be a little bit thicker for like that 4 and 3x shooting. But overall, it's a spectacular reticle system with a ton of information. And again, remember the price of this optic. We are talking about a $180 optic that is competing with optics 2 and 3 times the price. I don't get a ton of optics like this often that really do punch above their weight class, and when I do, I generally don't get a bunch of discount codes to go with them. So it's a good opportunity to snag this while the codes are active. I can highly recommend this optic. I've had no issues whatsoever. It's going to stay on this rifle for a little while and take some shots at a distance. Hope you guys liked the video. Hope it gives you some interesting options for the 3 to 18 and 4 to 16. All of the information, linking, and codes will be in the description below. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.